One of the assignments that I give during this section, during this chapter of this course, is to look at a video called Dream Window, which explores Japanese gardens. Yeah, because the Japanese garden for me is a wonderful metaphor for the aesthetic experience, because the goal of the Japanese garden is to do for us what so many of us want works of art to also do. Here's a Noguchi quote. Isamu Noguchi, sculptor, modern sculptor. We looked at some of his work. He designed sets for Martha Graham also. He says this about the Japanese garden. Within its limits, the Japanese garden swims, it works, it navigates, it floats within the imagination of the people who experience it. We are a landscape of all that we've seen. Can we really recreate nature, or do we go on and do something else? The part of this quote I love is this idea that we are all of these experiences. We are a landscape of all of our experiences. And what this garden is trying to do is it is trying to take us to new experiences. So if we look at a Japanese garden, I wish I could take you all to Kyoto. Kyoto is a fantastic city in Japan, and it is filled everywhere with Zen gardens. Yeah, and they surround the various temples. They're quite astonishing, and each of them has beautiful plants, and there's all of this raked gravel that I often think the gravel resembles a kind of ocean, and then the rocks and the plants just look like continents in this. I'll show you some pictures along the way here as we go. But the garden is a perfect metaphor for an aesthetic experience. Its form is a device. What it chooses to do is to take the viewer away from the ordinary world, their ordinary daily world, and bring them into a state of poetry, a state of creative awareness. And after they view this garden, they can then return to their everyday life, but somehow be fresh. Yeah. So I think so many artists, we think, oh, if I make a dance, someone's going to encounter it. They're going to see these feelings. They can then get back to their lives in this fresh way, that they also will be transported in this way. Now, a Zen teacher said one should just sit quietly, look at the garden, and what you see depends on what you bring to it. Yeah. Now, again, this is getting back to Kazu's idea of opening up and surrendering yourself to be able to see this. But great art, like a Japanese garden, gives us this same kind of transformational journey. Here's an image of the gravel, and you can see often the monks at the temple will rake. Often the younger monks are the ones that have to do the raking of all of this gravel to create these lines. And these are beautiful rocks, and one can just sit there and look at them, look at their relationships to each other and contemplate. And usually these gardens are in between the buildings that one goes as part of the temple, you know. And so there's a raised area that you walk along and you encounter these and look at them from various angles. Yeah. This is Dayasen In Temple. I really wanted to go to this one because you say, oh my gosh, it's just 2 mounds of gravel, and it's one of the more abstract ones, which, you know, I love abstractions. So I just was in adoration of this, that there was just this vast open field, and in the one corner you see there's just one tree, you know, the part of nature, you know, and then you see this gravel, and you see all this intricate raking around, and just that the circularness. So just a wonderful place to kind of encounter. So in the end, the garden, it's designed to touch us and to bring us to this question. And the question is, what is nature? What is the nature of existence? And how do I relate to the nature of the world? Yeah. Now, when I read those words and I found them about what does a Japanese garden do, I said, oh my gosh, that is exactly what so many artists want when we look at a work of art. Let's just change those words and say, put beauty. Let's use the word that so much of art before the 20th century was about. Yeah. So in the end result, great art touches the viewer deeply and brings us to this question. What is beauty? What is the beauty of existence? And how do I relate to beauty and the beauty of the world? Now that's that kind of moment where you say, oh my gosh, that is what I see when I see Starry Night. I see the beauty of human existence in this world, that I'm able to somehow find all the beauty around me and the beauty of my own existence in this time and in this space. And for me, that's a kind of miraculous thing. And that is that aesthetic experience of like, oh, here's something that has really shaken me up and brought me back to forget the day-to-day burdens of my life, but look at what's the most important thing to think about right now. This is Susan Langer, and she talks about this in beautiful words. Yeah, more beautiful than mine, but she's a philosopher. So she says this in her book, Problems of Art. She says, if art is, as I believe it is, the expression of human consciousness in a single metaphorical image, that image must somehow achieve the semblance of a living form. So there's a chapter on living form. It's another great chapter that you could read from this book. But this one part of this quote, I think, is one of the most profound things I've ever read about works of art. That art is the expression of human consciousness in a single metaphorical image. So when Van Gogh paints Starry Night, in a single image, he is able to capture all of human consciousness. And human consciousness is a very big thing and a very profound, very special thing. You know, if you think about, we've just spent millions and millions of dollars traveling millions of miles to Mars. And what are we looking for? We're looking for, did life ever exist on Mars? Because we know life is what's special. It's probably the most special thing. And so here, what Suzanne Langer is saying is that a single image can become the expression of all of human consciousness. That is amazing to me.